The Democrats are literally campaigning in Mexico. I'm not exaggerating. Now, I don't want to say, maybe the Democrats is a bit hyperbolic. A couple Democrats, literally a couple, have campaigned in Mexico, and I have no idea why. But all of the Democrats are at least campaigning for non-U.S. citizens, and it's really confusing. It's very confusing. I am by no means a staunch nationalist. In fact, I've told people I'm a determinist globalist, or I don't know what the right way to frame it is. I believe globalism is inevitable due to cyber war, the nature of cyber war, the vulnerabilities of cybernetic infrastructure, and trade and communications. I believe it is an inevitability. However, I don't believe we're at a point now where we're going to snap our fingers and have this global utopia, so it's probably important we maintain a balance in immigration and protect the borders of the United States. So I'm a centrist for the most part. Here's the thing though. Democrats as it stands today are campaigning for illegal immigrants to not be deported, are campaigning for health care for illegal immigrants, and are rejecting a citizenship question on the census. I just don't get it. I don't know if you're following the story on the citizenship question. Trump wants the census to ask if you are a citizen. And why not? Don't you think it would be important for us to figure out who is or isn't a citizen? Kind of makes sense, right? Like if you're not paying taxes or you're working under the table or your employer's breaking the law, citizenship is not some like controversial thing. At least it wasn't for the most part of my life. I got a social security card and a birth certificate, right? If I want to get a job, I check off I'm a citizen. Why can't we do that for census? I've never heard a good answer from Democrats. Take a look at voter ID laws. I've never heard a good answer as to why they oppose voter ID. It literally makes no sense. I need an ID to do basically everything. I go to a restaurant. I want to get a beer. They ask for my ID. Voting is way more important than that. I kid you not. I shaved. I went to the movies. They asked for my ID to see an R-rated movie. I'm like, dude, what? I'm not 17, man. I'm 33. It happens. Maybe because I'm part Asian, I look younger than I really am. The thing is, Democrats tend to oppose voter ID laws. They say it's racist. That's not an argument. Like, I'm from the hood. I'm from the south side of Chicago. Everybody had an ID in the internet. Like, you're not making a good argument for me. It's confusing. So this makes me say, what? I don't understand what you're doing. Now Trump wants the census to ask if people are a citizen. There's some really interesting, I guess, whether or not Trump succeeds in getting this, because it's been blocked by the Supreme Court, whether or not the census actually asks this question, I think Trump has done something that's a net positive for Trump and for nationalism. What this says to me, all of this, is that I don't think Democrats actually have any idea what they're doing or why they're doing it. They're trying to pander. I have no idea. None of it makes sense. They oppose Trump for the sake of opposing Trump. Look at this. Cory Booker actually helped illegal immigrants return to the U.S. after they were deported under the migrant protection protocols. Beto O'Rourke literally campaigned in Mexico. Look at this. It's a photo of him in Mexico to meet some asylum seekers. Okay. Why, though? They can't vote for you. But here's something interesting. It all comes back to the citizenship question. Trump is now saying he's considering using an executive order to get the citizenship question on the 2020 census. I've talked to a lot of people, and they say, Tim, it's because illegal immigrants vote. Well, I'm sure some do sometimes, but I'm not convinced it's significant. Staunch Trump supporters will say it's in the millions. Trump has said it's in the millions. I don't believe that's true. I do believe illegal immigrants vote, and we have seen some information from reputable sources claiming that on the voter rolls, there have been even tens of thousands of undocumented or illegal immigrants, in which case it's possible they voted. In one circumstance, a woman had a driver's license and she voted when she wasn't allowed to because she was a legal resident, and she actually got in trouble. That's kind of screwed up, right? It was some woman who had a green card, she voted, and she's facing prison time. Come on, man, some old lady who made a mistake. Let's just say don't do it again. Prison time, to me, that's absurd. But I do not believe Trump wants the citizenship question on the census to affect voting. One person said to me, it's so that he knows how many illegal immigrants are in the country and may or may not be voting. I'm like, no, you're making a jump here. The first and only thing it will do is allow the government to know how many illegal immigrants we have, but people on the left say immigrants in general will avoid answering the census because they're scared of, repercussions from the government. I do not believe that is true of legal immigrants. I believe anybody who is here legally with a visa or a green card has no problem saying, I am not a citizen. I've been to foreign countries. I have visas for foreign countries. I have like a 10-year visa to a South American country. If I was there and someone said, hey, are you a citizen of Brazil? I'd say, no. I'm here on a 10-year. I got a 10-year visa. It's good for 6 months at a time. I can come back, 6 months out of the year. I wouldn't care. To the people I know who have a permanent residency in foreign countries, they also don't care. I don't think that's legitimate. I think people who are legal immigrants would have no problem saying, like, here's who I am, here's where I live, here's what I do, and no, I'm not, a citizen. What it will do, however, is change the structure of the districts in Congress. And this, to me, is very, very interesting in how it'll play into the hands of Trump. So let's read this. Fox News says, President Trump said Friday he's considering using an executive order to place a citizenship question on the 2020 census, as the administration faces an afternoon deadline to say whether it will proceed with its push. We're thinking about doing that. It's one of the ways we have. It's one of the ways we have 4 or 5 ways to do it, Trump told reporters when asked if he was considering an executive order. We can do the printing now and maybe do an addendum after we get a positive decision from the Supreme Court. Basically, what's happening is he has to say now whether or not the question will be on the census, but he's being obstructed by the courts. By doing this, they can put the question on the census before the court ruling. It's all legally murky. We'll see if he gets away with it. If it's legal, I shouldn't say gets away with it. We'll see if it's legally upheld. But this may buy time for the census to include the question. Trump said, think about it. $15 to $20 billion on a census, and you're not allowed to ask if someone's a citizen. Adding that Attorney General William Barr is working on the issue. The court ruled last week that the reasoning provided by the administration that it would help them enforce the Voting Rights Act was insufficient. It sent the case back to the lower courts for further consideration, in what was seen as a significant blow to the administration. After the rebuke, Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross said his department would print the census without the question, seemingly indicating the administration had dropped the controversial issue. But Trump later said that reports that they had dropped the issue were fake, and on Thursday said the question was so important and that the Justice and Commerce Departments were working very hard on this. On Wednesday, a high-ranking DOJ lawyer told a federal judge that the administration has not abandoned efforts to put the question on the census, saying that there may be a legally available path open to the administration. The DOJ faces a 2 p.m. deadline to respond to a judge's order to decide whether the administration will try again to get the question on the census. So I'm filming this after 2 p.m. We'll see what happens, but Trump has said they're going to do it. Now, here's what gets interesting. The push for a citizenship question has been fiercely opposed by Democrats who say that immigrants may not want to respond and be counted in the census. This would result in official population numbers that are lower than they truly are, which in turn could yield less federal funding and fewer congressional seats in districts with high immigrant populations. Those districts tend to favor Democrats. An executive order could also face significant pushback and could fail in the Supreme Court. One source told Axios that it may allow the administration to shift the blame for the ultimate failure of the push on Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts. But Trump on Friday said he had a lot of respect for Roberts. I have a lot of respect for Justice Roberts. He didn't like it, but he did say come back, so we'll see what happens. This is really interesting. The Democrats conflate illegal immigrant with immigrants. I do not believe illegal immigrants are entitled to the full benefits of citizenship, of what citizens receive. I do believe illegal immigrants are entitled to certain rights under the Constitution and some immediate benefits to protect life. It's a complicated problem. But when it comes to government programs that are above and beyond immediate needs, like hierarchy of needs, like access to food and other things like this, should we be providing certain resources to illegal immigrants? The answer is, well, I would say no, but it's hard to know for sure what and when. The Democrats say they want to provide health care to illegal immigrants. Unfortunately, as much as I would like to, I don't think we can. I do think we have an obligation to prevent loss of life, which means if there's an illegal immigrant and we have emergency services available, I believe we are morally obligated to save their lives. It is a conflict and a conundrum because then illegal immigrants are putting a strain on our already strained healthcare system. So what happens is that if they can actually track illegal immigrants, or they can exclude them saying they're not citizens, therefore the district will be of a certain size, it means the shape of districts in Congress will be dramatically different. It will provide Republicans and nationalists with strong resources towards, for one, deporting illegal immigrants. I don't know if they'll use the census to actually deport people, but I will say illegal immigrants will be much less likely to fill out a census form if they're asked if they're citizens. They already probably do avoid filling it out of a fear of government intervention and deportation. But this to me is very interesting and telling. It's hard to know how to appropriate federal funds. Immigrants are entitled to many of the same funds as citizens if they're permanent residents. Illegal immigrants, not so much. And this, I think, is where the Democrats come in to conflate the two. They say, oh, immigrants won't do it. I disagree. That makes no sense. If you're a legal resident, why would you be afraid of filling out a form? Maybe they will be. Maybe they're scared of Trump. Maybe they think Trump will take away their green card and permanent residence. It's hard to know for sure. What I will say, however, the citizenship question is going to play a massive role in empowering Republicans in the future if it makes its way through. I don't know exactly what will happen, but I will say with one final thing. It really, really does feel like Democrats are not campaigning for American citizens. We can see that they're vowing to decriminalize illegal immigration. They're campaigning, some of them are campaigning in Mexico. They want to provide health care to non-citizens. It does not sound like they have the interest of American citizens at heart. And the whole thing confuses me. If only American citizens can vote, isn't this country for Americans and not for people outside the country? You can immigrate here. You can become a citizen over time, and then you will be entitled to those same privileges and otherwise. And I certainly believe legal immigration is the correct path forward, and I welcome all people anywhere in the world to come here legally, okay? And what that means is when you apply, there are some criteria where you won't be allowed to come. But I believe everyone has the opportunity to come here legally so that we can have a robust and healthy and diverse society. Great things. Illegal immigration, however, bypasses our laws, violates, the rules and the social contract of our nation, and then they reap benefits to which they didn't pay into. To put it simply, if today we all put in $1 towards a pizza party, a week from now someone shows up and says, oh, I'll put in $1 too. We say, we've been putting in $1 every day for a week, and you're going to show up now without putting in the same amount of money and get our pizza? It's not so much as that they aren't paying taxes. It's that they haven't paid into the system thus far. It's complicated. I gotta say, it does feel a lot like Democrats don't really care what Americans have to say. I'm going to defer to the opinion published in the New York Times where one writer said, Americans feel like they're strangers in their own country. I'm not surprised Trump won, and I think he'll win again. Look, I'll leave it there. I don't really have a closing thought, but it is what it is. Let me know what you think about the citizenship question. Shouldn't this country be for citizens? Whatever. Stick around. I got one more segment coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you shortly.